Podcast land, and welcome to the College Football Frenzy. Woo! We're gonna take college football is gonna take a back seat. We're gonna hit the AFC West this week. A little NFL football talk. So we're gonna do the Raiders, the Chargers, the Queefs, and the Ponies. And that's what we're doing. I guess I'll kick off the Raiders if we're ready. Are you guys ready to go? Ready to roll?
Let's go.
I was going to say I haven't heard the word queef since I watched Howard Stern years ago.
I still use them all the time when I talk about the Kansas City Queefs. They do have a good barbecue. I'll say that they do have a good barbecue. I ain't gonna. So the Raiders. Obviously, we all know about the Raiders. The shit show of a defense that we got going on there in Las Vegas and Sin City. The biggest sin in Sin City is that Las Vegas defense. My thought has been, probably since 2003 that they need to draft better in defense. And every year it's the same thing over and over and over again. I think the only hit that they had since 2003 with drafting a defensive player that I could think of off the top of my head is Khalil Mack, and they traded him away to the Bears. So, what are you going to do? But there's a couple studs this year, first or second round. I talked about on Saturday in the Las Vegas sports scene. I'd like to see the Raiders go for defensive backfield. The kid out of Oregon, I really like him. What's his name?
Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gonzalez.
I love him too.
Christian Gonzalez. I think a lot of people like him. That's the only issue with drafting 7. Christian Gonzalez and also Witherspoon out of Illinois. Both guys highly rated, highly touted. Witherspoon a little bit older. He was a junior this year. Gonzalez a sophomore. So my personal opinion, I think the Raiders with the first pick, stay away from the quarterbacks. You have Jimmy G. See what happens this year. And Eileen checking in, double dose of Ken today. Hell yeah, you can't get enough of Ken, right? You can never get enough of Ken. Ken 24/7 on Out of the Box Sports. I did this morning the Batcave, so I'm going on 2.5, 3 hours of sleep here. I got my monkey cold coffee ripping and roaring, so we're kicking ass and taking names. But yeah, so my personal opinion is stay away from the quarterbacks. From everything I've watched on College Football Frenzy past episodes, next year's quarterback class should be better, maybe better. And also, I do think we can get a quarterback later on. I'm hoping, if you watch the Las Vegas sports from this past Saturday, I'm hoping that Hendon Hooker might be there in the third round. There's a chance. I feel like it's a slim chance, but I'm hoping his ACL injury kind of lets him drop into the third round. That's what I'm pulling for. Defensive line wise, go ahead, bud.
I got a question. I got a question for you as as a somewhat Raiders fan myself. First off, I'm hearing a lot of buzz that he may go late first, right? So here's a thought. Where do the Raiders pick in the second round? They're relatively early second round, correct?
I want to say third. I wrote down 38th pick in the second round. Yes.
Okay. So here's the thought, right? So say the Raiders go 7, they go, say they get a Christian Gonzalez at 7, right? Because they do need help in the secondary. Now the Philadelphia Eagles are sitting there at 30. If Hooker is sitting there at 30, I could see a marriage made between the Raiders and the Eagles. Eagles could slide down to 30, slide up to 30. Maybe Raiders. Maybe the Raiders throw in like a 4th this year and maybe a pick next year, and the Raiders go up and they take a Hooker. And I'll tell you what, Hooker gets a lot of buzz, and the fact that the Raiders have Garoppolo, Hooker can chill this year, and maybe he's your guy in 2024.
I agree 100%. If that's the route that they want to go, if they want to go to Hooker, Linda Duarte checking in saying hi, boys. Hello, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
So if the Raiders wanted to trade up and back up into the first round to get Hooker, I'm all right with that. I would still rather them see them go defense with their second pick. Like I like Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt, a high motor guy. He's getting some comparisons to Aaron Donald, which is fair, not fair, kind of thing. Aaron Donald going to Pitt, from Pitt and stuff like that. But Aaron Donald's a future Hall of Famer. So I mean, it's just one of those things. Like you can't compare. You know what I mean? Like the kid's in college. Yeah, it's just coming out of college. But from everything I've read, they're comparing Kalijah Cansey to Aaron Donald. Not very big, but high motor. So
right.
But if they went Hendon Hooker with that second pick, I wouldn't hate on that either. Yes.
So you mean to tell me they're not going? You mean to tell me they're not going to go a speedy wide receiver in the first round again? Like
dude, I'm telling you, I every time I close my eyes when the draft comes up, I twitch. I think Darius Hayward Bay and stuff like that. I start like tearing up, and I wake up in sweats in the afternoon because of it. It's terrible. It's not just the meat sweats. It's like it's terrifying. It really is.
If you hear a sports car, you think of Henry Ruggs. You're like, shit, man, we don't need another one of them.
No, absolutely. Well, and the thing with Ruggs is I didn't like the pick to begin with. I understood, needed somebody to stretch the field. We didn't have Devontae Adams yet. When it's kind of one of those deals. But when we did get him, we didn't really use him all that much. An occasional throw downfield. So he was never really like a huge threat otherwise. Like when he was in, he would stretch the defense a little bit. But I mean, he hardly ever got the ball thrown to him.
How about tight end with losing Waller?
So we made a couple moves at tight end. We picked up a couple tight ends. We picked up I can't think of his name right now. There's two of them, OJ Howard and Austin Hooper. We picked up. I got notes because I forget everything. I don't know if you guys know that or not. I say it. Yeah,
they're they're serviceable.
And that's what I said. Like when we had Waller and we had I can't think of his name now.
I know
a free agent, Foster Moreau, and so he's out. He was a free agent. He was visiting with New Orleans, and then he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So he's out for the season. Dealing with cancer and stuff like that. But when they brought in OJ Howard and Austin Hooper, I'm like, they're not explosive tight ends like a Waller would be. But you know what? They're solid tight ends, so it's like kind of like it doesn't quite make up for it, but you know what? It's better than what we would have had. So and again, later rounds, if there's a tight end there that they think could be a game breaker, because there's always those diamonds in the rough. I mean, Darren Waller, where'd the Raiders get him from? The Baltimore practice squad. So it's not like he was on some team breaking records. He was on the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. So there's guys out there like that if you're looking for him. TJ Purcelli checking in says, "Damn state troopers, he made it." There we go.
Yeah, I tell you,
hopefully it was worth the fine.
Yeah, those troopers are out there today, boy, flying on the turnpike. I've seen like 12 of them just sitting there hiding. Oh man,
they clocked you at 168.
It's that beautiful weather.
I can't go that fast. I can't go that fast. No.
So that's pretty much what I got for the Raiders. I mean, I don't know what else. I like to see them go defense. Maybe quarterback with the second or third pick, but defense I think has to be the main priority. Offensive line wise, wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as everybody was projecting it to be either.
Yeah,
they didn't give up a whole lot of sacks. Their pressures were down a bit, and they had a couple games where they fell apart. The last game of the season, it was I think it was like 6 or 7 sacks. It was really really bad, but otherwise, They did a decent job. I think they're ranked, I think the low 20s, high teens, which wasn't bad at all for a group that came in ranked, I think, 30th or 31st. So,
Ken, let me ask you. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was just going to piggyback off what he said. I was going to say, I mean, when they drafted that Leatherwood kid and he totally sucked. I mean. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I thought their O-line was going to be an absolute shit show, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, the DC had time. When he didn't have time is when he got into trouble. Is when either he just threw it up for grabs, or just took the sack, and instead of getting rid of it out of bounds or whatever, or checking it down quicker, because he is the king of checkdowns. DC, as much as I love him, that's what he does, and. So but overall they didn't do a bad job.
Ken, let me ask you something regarding the draft. We know Garoppolo, his problem is he's not mobile. He has to stay upright. Okay, do you take a flyer, try to move up to get a Skoronski or a Paris Johnson in the draft to keep Garoppolo up? I mean, is that a worth thing rather than going defense? What do you think?
I still say stick to defense and then work on offensive line either later in the draft or through free agency after the draft. But I really do like Skoronski. There's another offensive lineman that I really liked. Skoronski, Paris Johnson, and Steve Avila. I've been hearing a lot of good things that the Raiders are also interested in him. Reading up, good pass blockers and stuff like that. So and hopefully we're focusing more on the run again this year. So those guys do well in the run also.
Hello.
Danny on Wheel says the Raiders have made some horrid picks. Yeah, that's been every year. So
yeah, you know what's funny? I used to. So I always loved watching Mike Mayock on draft coverage, and I'd be like, "Oh man, Mayock likes him or whatever." And then, after watching Mayock and Gruden's drafts, I'm like, "Man, dude, like Mayock's drafts were like atrocious."
Well, TJ Perselli says the Raiders blew it when they didn't hire Bisaccia as the full-time head coach. I agree to a point. I like the McMahon and stuff like that also, but I really wish they would have gave Bisaccia a shot. But yeah, Joe, I agree 100%. It was just Mayock and Gruden, the early picks, just atrocious. Now their mid to late rounders weren't terrible.
Max Crosby was a great pick.
Yeah, and also their tackle Colton. I can't think of his first name. But yeah, Colton, their left tackle, he's a decent. He's probably their most consistent offensive lineman, and so then he was, I think, a third or fourth round. That was the year they only had like 3 picks. They had like a third rounder and a couple sixth rounders or something like that. He ended up being their third rounders, but yeah, he wasn't a bad pickup. Colton Miller.
What about the guy Voorhees from?
What's that?
I think he's.
What about Jason Voorhees, USC guard?
You know what? I have no idea. That's a name I didn't see pop up at all. I did hear of him, Jason Voorhees, because of the name, obviously. But yeah, I mean, if he's there, I think later in the draft, absolutely, take a shot. Danny says they took that Clemson defensive end. He sucked. Cleveland Farrell, that's who I think Danny's talking about, and he just signed on with somebody. He's I don't. Yeah, I think he might have signed in San Francisco, I feel like, but I'm not 100% sure. But he's gone now. The one thing about Cleveland Farrell, I thought he did get better later in the season when Chandler Jones was they were taking some snaps away from Chandler Jones. So Farrell was seeing some time actually on the field, not just special teams, and he was doing all right. But I mean, overall, our pass rush was non-existent besides Max Crosby. That was the only guy that was able to put any kind of pressure on the quarterback, and without pressure on your quarterback, what happens to your secondary? They get picked apart, and it's not a very good secondary. So, Danny says Voorhees, I like a good guard. So, yeah. Anything else or?
Now, Ken, listen, if you're the GM, okay, is there any possibility that I know you guys have a lot of holes. Is there any possibility that you trade back and get more assets? Is there any? I like teams because now the Cardinals have 6 teams that are willing to do a trade here. Are the Raiders willing to move up for maybe a player out there? They got Jimmy G, or do they trade back? What do you see as a possibility of gaining more assets? Would you do it?
If it's there, if the guy that they're looking at, if I think of a Gonzalez or a Witherspoon is gone at 7. I might try to trade back, see if you can get maybe in the 20s somewhere, see if you can get another second round or third round pick out of it, and take maybe Kalijah Cansey late second round, and or late first round. I mean, if he's still there, and maybe second if you get an extra second round pick, because right now they only have 1 second round pick. I'll pick 38. If they can get an extra second round pick, maybe they can look defense one more time and then pick up Hooker, or go Hooker with that first second round pick and look defense again.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm seeing Hooker probably in late second round now. Injury coming off. So I don't know if
with the way they have him ranked where he'd be going into the second round. Mm-hmm. I'm just hoping that it scares people away a little bit, or they make a trade. Trading up, I don't know why they'd want to trade up, unless they're really high on one of these quarterbacks, which I just can't really see. Besides Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I mean, outside of those guys, but even that, I just don't feel. I don't watch a whole lot of college football. I do watch it, but I'm not like paying attention like the who's who. But everybody knows CJ Stroud and Young from Alabama, so it's like they didn't really blow my doors off. You know what I mean? Like it's like are they worth moving up and giving up multiple first-round picks, in your future, I'd say I don't know. I'd rather if they're going to make a trade, I'd rather see them go back if their defensive guys at 7 are not there that they were looking for.
Yeah, I think like this year's a committee of quarterbacks. You have Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Levis, even Richardson's moved up the draft board. But you think about next year, Caleb Williams. If I can see he's on the board, there's going to be many teams trying to move up next year to get Caleb Williams, as opposed to a Stroud or a Young this year. But yeah, I mean, Alain said about that name Hooker there. That's a jersey I might just buy for the hell of it. I mean,
everybody's got to have a hooker.
Exactly.
Especially in Las Vegas, you know what I mean? Like with the whole prostitution thing in Nevada. I mean, I guess prostitution isn't legal in Las Vegas, but I think in the state of Nevada it is. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you get a hooker, and it's a match made in heaven there. TJ says they have a great stadium. I enjoyed the place very much, and lots of parking, easy in and out. That's the best thing I could say about the Raiders now. The Raiders now. He says Raiders. And you know what? And the one thing that really pissed me off last game of the season. You had a fan holding up a sign. It was something about the Raiders. I don't remember exact word for word, but basically it was like, we paid money for this, or something like that. Like it was derogatory towards the team, but he wasn't wrong. They kicked his ass out and took the sign. So that's kind of messed up. You know what? If you want to take the sign, fine. They kicking the guy, kicking his ass out when he was just, pretty much speaking the truth. It's nonsense that the product that they put out there last season. With what they had, it was really frustrating. I mean, half of the coaching staff and half of the team are Patriots right now. I was reading something now that they signed Brian Hoyer as the backup quarterback, Danny Amendola as a freaking coach. I mean, it's surrounded by Patriots. I mean, you have to know the secret Patriot handshake to get in the goddamn door.
Well, maybe you can get Randy Moss to come back.
Well, Randy Moss was already there, and I'll tell you what, man, that was one of the worst free agent signings the Raiders have ever made. That was absolutely awful.
Yeah. So, Ken, before we get on to the next one here, what do you have the Raiders this year at? What record do you see this year?
You know what? I last year I was all above and beyond, like, oh, they're going to finish in second place. They have a chance to win the division. We're going to the promised land. I'm going to go a little bit more. Take a step back here, be a little bit more realistic. Don't be a homer. Mr. Fandom here. But 17-0 is pretty good. You know what I mean? I'll take that. No. You know what? If I could see a 9-8 would I think a 9-8 or a 10-7 would be huge, just to show progress and how they get there. If they can get there with an improved defense, doesn't have to be a great defense, but an improved defense, and Jimmy G's alive still by the end of the season. I'll take 9-8, 8, 9, 10-7. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
TJ Perselli says, "Get out of here, TJ. What's the matter with you? Where's the state cops at when we need them?" Danny says 9-8. All right, Danny, I could deal with that. But I mean, like all around there, it just depends on how they get there. A 7-10, that sucks ass. But if they're improved, you can kind of like, all right, you can kind of like, take it, with a glimmer of hope kind of deal, like a little bit, a shining beacon a little bit off in the distance. Like, all right, we'll take it, we'll move on, and get better for the next season also.
All right, Ken, I have a question for you. Okay, we know Jimmy G is accident prone, injury prone, whatever you want to call it. How long does Garoppolo have a leash on him before Hoyer comes in?
Hoyer's not. If Hoyer better be praying that he doesn't have to come in. If Jimmy G's out there, and like the Raiders' offensive line is playing awful, Hoyer's he better be like hiding behind like one of those big fans they have at the bench. Just kind of like with the clipboards, kind of peeking around the corner. Like hopefully they don't see me. Where's Garbles at? Where the hell's Garbles? Get Garbles in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I don't think Jimmy G's going to have a leash. Not like with DC last year, where they pulled him week 16, I guess it would be. So I don't believe there's going to be a leash unless he's hurt. It's ride or die with him because Hoyer's just like who was that 49ers quarterback that came in the playoffs there at the end? Who's been in the league 105 years?
Johnson or something like that.
Yeah,
in the playoff game,
Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson.
Yeah, Josh Johnson. I felt bad for the dude. He's like, fuck.
Josh Johnson.
He's out there. He's like, I can't believe this is happening to me, and he just got destroyed. I felt bad. I legitimately, he's like, oh, I'm the third or fourth quarterback here. No problem. I just stand here, hold the clipboard, collect some cash. Watch a decent team here, and then all of a sudden you're out there. It's like, oh no, that can't be good at all.
I hear you. Yeah, I have one last question real quick before we move on to the Raiders. Now, I see the sign somewhere about Hunter Renfrow. What was going on with that sign at the baseball game, Ken?
Well, there's also a Hunter Renfrow in baseball. He plays for the Angels now. He used to be I think it used to be a Red Sox, but their last names are spelled different. But yeah, it said it had Hunter Renfrow, the baseball player, his picture up on the scoreboard, and it said something not the Raiders, Hunter Renfrow, or doesn't play for the Raiders or something like that. Doesn't play for the Las Vegas Raiders. I seen that. I got a kick out of that. I always wonder, you never hear anybody make the connection. Like how is that not comedic gold right there? Like you could do so many things. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have went that way a couple times.
Exactly, Sean. What do you have the Raiders? What record do you have? You said 7-10 also, or 7-10 also.
7. Yeah, 7-10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to go.
They got a lot of kinks to work out, like Ken said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna go 9-8 this year. I think they're playing with house money right now. They're rebuilding, so they can sneak in a couple wins out there. I think depending on how their schedule ends up, we know the teams are playing, but they might have an easy game next week or 1 week. Staying on the West Coast, but I think they'll be 9-8 team this year.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think if for some reason they won 7-10 or 6-11. All the Raider fans will be screaming for McDaniel's neck again. And from everything I heard from Mark Davis, that he's going to see this through. He said a couple times, a lot of the issues with the Raiders has fallen onto him because he's been changing the coaches so often. The whole Derek Carr thing is on him because he changed coordinators and coaches. He said it's time to settle down, work with a coach. And so, as much as Raider fans may not want to hear this, we're in it for the long haul with this fella and all of his Patriot glory.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be bad, it could be good, but so far it's been bad.
Mm-hmm. How far do we? Yeah. How far do we keep? Your coach here. I mean, is he on a leash as well? I know David said he's not, but is he on a leash too, Ken?
No. Danny on Wheel says you need consistency. Yeah, and that's what Mark Davis said when he was talking about the coaching staff. Is you need consistency. So he's gonna, I don't know what McDaniel's contract is, if it's for 4 or 5 years, but the way it sounds, he's gonna see this through at least a couple more years before he says, you know what, pulling the plug on it. So if it's a disastrous season this year, I don't expect him to move on. If he moves on after this season, he's pretty much going against his own word, his own promise to say that he's sticking with one coach for a longer term than he would have in the past, which hurts the quarterback and your skill position players.
Mm-hmm. Now, how pissed off are you going to be if the Broncos succeed you with a new coach, a shit show out there? If they turn this around, how bad, you being a diehard Raider fan, how are you going to feel, Ken?
You know what? I just even thinking about it makes me want to vomit all over my little laptop here. I hate the Ponies, something fierce. That's like the Broncos. As a Raider fan, during Bronco week, every time I close my eyes, I see John Elway with his goofy ass teeth, there, laughing at me, throwing all those touchdowns and stuff like that. I can't stand it. But it's their head coach, Sean Payton. He gets all this credit for being some sort of wizard and stuff like that. The dude had Drew Brees at quarterback in his prime. You know what I mean? And won 1 Super Bowl. How many Super Bowls did he go to? 1.
Right.
It's not like he was a perennial powerhouse in the Super Bowl. No, that's not what happened. That year they went to the Super Bowl. They had a pretty good defense as well. I think what was his Williams? I think was it Greg Williams or something like that. I think that's I think he was the defensive coordinator for the Saints then. A pretty good defensive coordinator. If it wasn't for Bountygate, he'd probably still have a job in the NFL. I don't think he does. I think he's in the XFL, to be honest. But yeah, I hate the Ponies is what I'm getting to. And I think Peyton's overrated.
Okay. Now, the reason why I asked you that is because when I was driving home from Philly today, I was listening to a radio station on XM radio, and I was chiming into a Denver station, and they were talking about Sean Payton. They said, look out for Sean Payton because he revitalized Drew Brees at that size of quarterback, and he's going to do the same thing with Wilson. Do you agree with that?
He could. Drew Brees was like super young in his career, coming off an injury, but he wasn't playing terrible with the Chargers. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was out there stinking the show up. The Chargers weren't a very good team with him, but he was playing well. Sean Payton did take him to the next level. I'll agree with that. But again, when it comes down to it, it's like, what do you have to show for it? A Hall of Fame career for Drew Brees, and that's about it. Right. One Super Bowl and a Hall of Fame career. I mean, with that talent that they had in their skill positions and Drew Brees in his prime, there should have been at least a couple of appearances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll get into the Broncos, but like people were saying, if Peyton's overrated, this is going to be his time telling now, because he's in draft pick hell. He has no picks, so the team that he has, he's going to have to work with, and we're going to see what really Sean Payton's made of, because he's in draft pick hell. Is what he is.
Well, and also, I don't know who's their GM. Do we know that? I mean, like, who knows? They could work a little bit of magic, make a couple like a trade or a move here or there, and maybe they could pick up a couple picks, or even for the future. You'll just kind of like skip past this year and look at next year. You never know. Big Mike says, "Sorry, boys, computer or internet issues."
No worries, Mike. No worries.
Yeah, to answer your question, the Broncos general manager is George. Well, it says Paton, so I don't know if they pronounce it Patton or Peyton. But if you pronounce it Patton, he could get some stuff done. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the Broncos. It's probably pronounced something Frenchy like Paton. It's George Paton. The pinky up. The Broncos hate the Broncos.
Exactly. Yeah.
TJ had a comment there. Paton.
What? And you were talking about. I know you were talking about possibly acquiring more picks. I mean, there were some rumors that the Broncos were shopping one of their wide receivers, like Courtland Sutton, or
their top wide receiver, Judy. Yeah, I thought I heard they were shopping Judy around a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were, but I mean, if you're trying to revitalize Russell Wilson's career, you kind of want him to have some weapons,
Well, TJ says, I agree with Peyton, overrated also. And TJ also said he feels like the Broncos are in better position than what the Raiders are because they have more pieces, in his honest opinion. He also says Peyton rode the Katrina wave and didn't do anything after that. There it is. There is a reason Elway walked away. I don't know if Elway walked away or he got fired, but yeah, bye, John. That's all I got to say. Joe, what was your question? I forgot.
No. I was just saying about them shop. If you think they would shop a receiver for a pick, possibly, because they don't pick until the third round. So the draft, like Paul was saying, draft picks are kind of slim and none.
I mean, I don't know if they'd get a second round pick maybe for Judy. I don't know. That'd be a stretch, but they probably could get more picks for Judy or Courtland Sutton. But you're not going to get anything high. There's the comment about the Raiders, better chance than the Raiders of turning it around.
I actually agree with TJ though, and I'm saying that as a guy that has Raiders tickets, because the reason is because I know Russell Wilson looked like dog shit, and he's like Russell Wilson. Let's keep it real. Russell Wilson's like the corniest NFL player ever. Okay, and he looked terrible last year. But if Sean Payton can get Russell Wilson right, somewhat. They do have a lot. I mean, they have some talent on that team. They got two good receivers. They got, Javonte Williams coming off an injury, but they went out and got Piron. So they have two running backs possibly. Their defense, they could use a corner, but I mean, they went out and signed Zach Allen on the defense. I mean, and they have, of course, Pat Surtain. I mean, they might be all right.
All due respect to the Broncos, their defense was decent. Pretty well.
Right.
Pretty good last year, their defense, and I think their offensive line kind of let them down a good bit because as corny as Russell Wilson is, if you go back and look at his stats, he wasn't overly terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but he was on the run a lot, man. I mean, every time I try to avoid watching Broncos games, but if it's the only thing on, I'll watch it a little bit. But from everything I watch, the dude is just being chased everywhere, and he's not 22-year-old Russell Wilson anymore. You know what I mean? He's getting a little bit long in the tooth, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Ken, listen, man. I know you got you did double duty today, and I know you got to get a shower and head to work tonight. But real quick, we
Yep, I
do
need a
have.
shower.
I smell it through the mic. I didn't want to say anything. I know I smelled something. But before we let you get out of here, man, can you talk about this little sponsorship we have going on here at Out of the Box, man?
Yeah, so I'm an assistant coach for my daughter's travel softball team, 14U Not Your Average Janes, and we're always looking for sponsors and stuff like that to help with equipment, tournament fees. Tournaments go up every year, which is absolutely insane because like I guess insurance, the premiums raise.
Yeah.
That's why the tournament fees raise up. But there's our logo. We're always looking for help with sponsorship. So what the Out of the Box family is asking, if you're willing to, give whatever you can to Out of the Box Sports Network, and they'll become a sponsor at Out of the Box Sports Network, and fans will be a sponsor of the Not Your Average Janes. You can either hit me up or Paul up through instant message, and we'll give you our Venmo or PayPal handles or whatever it is. And whatever little, like I said, $5 or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's just a little bit. It doesn't take a whole lot to be a sponsor. Usually, what we do, we ask our sponsors if they are going to give, anything helps. $50, $100. So just anything, and $5, goes towards that. And once we can get up to $100, we'll become a sponsor of the Not Your Average Janes. Like I said, equipment that's balls, line for the lines for lining the field and stuff like that, because we do have a home field. And during the winter months, we practice indoors, so it goes towards that costs money, indoor facilities. So every little bit helps, and we appreciate it very, very much. The girls do, I do, as a coach, because we also try to keep our parents' fees down for them to pay out, because a lot of these teams pay a lot of money for their daughter just to play on a traveling softball team, which is insane.
They do,
in my opinion.
I'm right there with you.
So. It's a lot. It's a money racket. I'll tell you that. So we try to keep our expenses really low for the parents. That way, it's affordable, and the girls have fun with it. And while they're having fun, they learn more about the sport and how to play the sport correctly.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we want to do. If you can reach out to myself or Ken, please donate what you can. We're not asking for the world to be given. Anything that you can do to support Ken's team here, it's for a great cause as well. We just sponsored one of the lanes, and Ken, I want you to tell the girls thank you so much. I've seen the appreciation video that they put on Facebook, Out of the Box there. And, of course, we had the championship lane. So
the very last lane was the championship lane. It happened to be the Out of the Box Sports lane.
Of course.
So that was super cool. That was awesome.
There we are.
All right, Ken, we'll let you go, man, because I know, I smell you through the mic. We definitely need a shower. So, brother, I will talk to you.
Smell you.
It smells like onions and sweet Lebanon bologna here in Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness! That's what it was on the turnpike when I breathed through your
liverwurst.
A little liverwurst. Yeah. All right, see you guys later. Thank you.
All right, Ken,
Thank you. Man. Take care.
Bye.
All right, so that's Ken giving his Raider talk there. You can check him out every Saturday night, Vegas sports scene, talking all Raiders, Golden Knights. Great, great time talking to him, listening to him. But who wants to go next here? Who wants to speak here? I mean, who has Denver?
I'll let Joey eat his.
I was going to say
enjoy his food.
I was going to say I could do Denver because maybe we should let Sean go last since he has the world champions. The unfortunate world champions to us Eagles fans here.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, let's hop into
What do they say that? What do they say that to the victor go the spoils, right? So that means that Sean could go last and close out the show with the friggin' Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So I will discuss the Broncos,
Okay.
or as Ken would say, the ponies. Broncos coming off a disastrous 5-12 season. Not exactly what they had in mind when they made that trade for Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson looked like a shell of himself. Didn't look good at all. Their defense, like Ken said, their defense isn't terrible. I mean, they had some weapons on that defense. I mean, they have Pat Surtain. They lost the guy though. They lost a big part of the defense. Jones, the defensive tackle, they lost him, but they made some made some good. Their offensive line was terrible. But they went out and they signed Ben Powers from Baltimore to play guard.
Yeah.
They signed Mike McGlinchey from San Francisco to play right tackle. Like I said, they lost the defensive lineman to Seattle, but they replaced him with a guy that I really like, a guy by the name of Zach Allen from young defensive end from he's a perfect defensive end for a 34, 26 years old from Arizona. I like that kid. And an under the radar signing, who I was surprised Cincinnati let him go. Denver has Javonte Williams coming off a major injury. Yep. They went out and signed Samadre Piron from Cincinnati.
Yes.
I think he could have a really good year for Denver in a rotational set with Williams coming off the injury. So Denver made some moves. But and of course the biggest one is Sean Payton. I mean, they went out and got Sean Payton, as a coach. They traded a first round pick for him. They traded Bradley Chubb last year to the Dolphins or I think it was the Dolphins. I forget. Well, they got a first round pick or whatever.
Yeah, Chubb went to the Dolphins. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Chubb went to the Dolphins.
That's what it was. No, now I remember. You know what slipped me up? I forgot that the Dolphins had San Francisco's first round pick because the Dolphins lost their own first round picks. That's what threw me off. But yeah, so the pick that the Dolphins had in the Trey Lance trade, they traded that for they got that for in the trade. So but yeah, Sean Payton's there. Like I said, Russell Wilson was a disaster last year. They don't pick until the third round. Their first pick in the draft is 67th, and then they pick 68. So their only picks are 67, 68, 108 in the fourth round, 139 in the fifth round, and 195 in the sixth round. Their main needs are cornerback, offensive center, and they could use some D-line help. And that's pretty much it on their needs. I could go down the schedule here. Their schedule, they host Green Bay, other than the division games, obviously.
Right.
They host Green Bay. They host Minnesota. They host New England. Far cry from the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady days, huh?
Big time.
All right. They host the Jets. They host the Browns, and they host Washington. Away, they are at Chicago, they're at Detroit, they're at Buffalo, at Miami, at the Texans. So
I'll tell you what, they got a kind of a juggernaut schedule, actually. I mean, a lot of those teams are up and coming. You think about the Bears, you think about some of these teams. Washington, they have an identity now, so they're going to be something to reckon with. Their schedule's pretty rough. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Sean Payton has his work cut out for him, and he doesn't have a lot of ways to improve now. Like I said, I like what they did in free agency. Now, losing Draymond Jones, I mean, that was a big loss because that kid was pretty good. They also cut former Eagle Ronald Darby, but I mean, he's okay. But I like their acquisitions though. Ben Powers. I mean, I've watched a lot of Ravens games last few years. Ben Powers is a quality guard. He's going to be an upgrade. McGlinchey. I know Hassan Reddick went around his ass to hit Purdy in the championship game, but McGlinchey's a solid offensive right tackle. Plus Paul, plus guys, former Notre Dame guy. So we always and local kids, so we always kind of like him. And the other guy, I mean, I like what they did in free agency. I just question. It's all going to come down to Russell Wilson, bro. It's all going to come down to Russell Wilson. Are you getting the Russell Wilson of last year? And his last year in Seattle where he got hurt, or is Russell Wilson going to have a resurgence?
Well, Joe, that's my question to you. I mean, when we seen Seattle with true Russell Wilson, he was better outside the pocket, scrambling, making plays downfield.
Yeah.
Now, okay, with Peyton, he had Breeze, not the most mobile quarterback. A stability quarterback in the pocket, 3-5 step drop, arm like crazy, accurate. What does he do with Wilson? Does he keep Wilson in the pocket, or does he let Wilson be Wilson to open this offense up? What do you think they do?
I think Sean Payton is. I know some of the guys were saying he's overrated. I know he only won one Super Bowl. I don't think he's overrated at all. I think the guy's a hell of a coach, to be quite honest with you. And what I think he's going to do, I think he actually is going to kind of turn Russell Wilson around, and he's going to work to his strengths. I think you're gonna see Russell Wilson on some play action fakes, some play action rollouts. I don't think he's going to just keep Russell Wilson in the pocket, dude. I think Sean Payton had a year away from the game. I think he studied a lot of film, and he's sitting in the lab right now finding a way. He's looking at old Seattle tape, and he's saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get Wilson out of the pocket, and I'm gonna get him to get the ball to Jerry Jeudy. I'm gonna get him to get the ball to Courtland Sutton, and and
even that tight end. Don't forget the tight end.
Yeah, the tight end, Greg
the kid from UCLA.
Yeah,
Target.
I'll tell you this much: if Russell Wilson can't get it back this year with Sean Payton, then Denver is really screwed. I mean, that's pretty. That's and honestly, I think Denver was smart, even though they had to give up a first-round pick to get Peyton. I think it was worth every penny because if I'm a Broncos fan, I already mortgaged my future for Russell Wilson, and I need to get a guy that I think might help him. Because let's face it, if Russell Wilson can't come back, they're screwed for 3 to 5 years anyway.
And I agree. I mean, I love Peyton as a coach.
Double-edged sword, like you said.
Yeah, I love Peyton as a coach. I mean, with Dallas, I want him as Dallas with the weapons. You give this guy weapons, he's a genius on the offensive side of the ball. It's great terminology what he has. And just like Jeff, what you said, Peyton knows he's on a 4 or 5 year window. He's not going anywhere. They mortgaged a farm to get Russell Wilson and then mortgaged another farm, took a second mortgage on Sean Payton. So he knows he has that 4 to 5 year window to build this team. So it's not a rush. It's not a marathon. What is a marathon? I'm not a sprint. I think they'll be fine, but I want to see Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson. That's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
TJ says if Peyton can get the running game going in Denver, Denver will thrive again. Russell Wilson will thrive again. They have a decent running back stability. Yeah, exactly. P. Ryan's going to be huge out there too. I mean, that 1-2 punch that they have, it's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, P. Ryan last year for the Bengals. I mean, those games that Mixon, I think the one game against Pittsburgh, he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns. I mean. That
he
kid
really because of a bum ankle. Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of unsung when he came out of Oklahoma. A lot of people knocked him off the board. Well, he's a good back, and he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires either. He's still young, like basically a rookie in years, if you think about it. But Joe, what do you think?
Are fresh, man.
Exactly. What do you think the record's going to be this year? I mean, we're talking rebuild here. I don't know what we want to call it, but what kind of record do you think?
It's really a hard thing to predict, isn't it? Because doesn't it? It totally comes down to what version of Russell Wilson I'm getting. True. I mean, if I'm getting a good, like I'm looking at their schedule here, right?
Yeah.
If I'm getting a shitty version of Russell Wilson, I'm seeing like 6-11, 5-12 again. But if I do get a good version of Russell Wilson, let me break down their home schedule right here. Green Bay at home, they can win that. Minnesota's still got a good team, but if I'm getting a good Russell Wilson, that could be a W. New England at home, that could be a W.
Yeah.
Jets, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's a toss-up. Or is Aaron Rodgers going to be there? I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Even if Aaron Rodgers is there, Denver's a tough place to play. That game's a toss-up. Browns at home, Denver, good Russell Wilson, they can win that. Washington at home, they can win that. Like I said, good Russell Wilson, they're better than the Raiders. You know what I'm saying? Then you look at the road. Chicago's an up-and-coming team, but we talked about them when we talked about the AFC North. They, as much as I like Justin Fields, he might make a big mistake in a big spot. That game's a toss-up. At Detroit, that's an L. Here's where I go. Definite L's. At Detroit, that's an L. At Buffalo, that's an L. At Kansas City, that's an L. Probably lose both to Kansas City. Yeah. At Miami, I have no idea. Is Tua playing? Who the hell knows, right? If Tua ain't playing, they could win that, John. At the Texans are rebuilding. I gotta say, I kind of like Denver possibly in that game. So, TJ says 10-7, a good version of Russell Wilson. I don't know if I'd say 10 and. I mean, I could see 8 to 10 wins.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree. I agree with that. And it depends on Russell Wilson. I mean, we're going to see what he's made of. Well, what can Sean Payton do for him? Is he going to put him in a predicament where he's going to start let him beat Wilson? But I don't know, Joe. I mean, I look at that schedule. Just like you said, there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that are playing. You know, we don't know. That's the big gimme in the room is the Russell Wilson effect. But I'm going to say mediocre middle. I'm probably going to give him 9 to 8, and that's giving me a couple benefit of the doubts. I think they do get swept by Kansas City. I really do. But there's some of the games, just like you mentioned, Joe, the Texans, the rebuilding, Justin Fields, he makes dumb rookie mistakes still. So that could be a given game too. So I'm going to go 9 and 8 this year. I'm going to put him at 9 and 8.
Okay.
TJ says Carson Wentz will be the Jets QB. Hell, with Russell, with what's his name, Aaron Rodgers, we still don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so Sean, what do you have the Broncos here? What record do you have them?
I got them at probably 8 wins at least, 8 and 10.
8 and 10. There's only 17 games, Sean.
I mean, 18 and 8 and 9. I don't see them doing that good.
Yeah, I think
about that.
The funny thing is, I know we're all tired, man. I last year during the first show I did with Ken, when I introduced Ken to the network, we did a show last year talking Raiders, and it's so funny. I actually had Denver finishing second place with the Russell Wilson trade. I really did. You know, just thinking like he's gonna turn this team around. Okay. And I never thought I would see a Russell Wilson look as bad as he did last year with his team. You know.
It was horrendous, man. Yeah,
it was bad. It was bad. I mean, you know, being a college fan, you've seen him play at North Carolina State. Then he went to Wisconsin. Oh, he's not going to be drafted because of his size. The mobility is there, but his size is the defining factor. But when he came into the league, he showcased what he could do. But last year was just like it was like an asterisk on his name. Like, okay, was he a product of the system, or was Russell Wilson really that good?
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. All right, so you guys ready to move on to this other team? Mike was going to do them, but I'll do them tonight. Let's move on to the Chargers real quick. I don't know how to describe this Charger team here. To me, we look at Justin Herbert. Okay, when he came out of college, came out of Oregon as the best thing since sliced bread. Okay, we've seen what he can do, but there's a lot of turmoil on this team. Eckler wants out. Okay. People on the defense can't stay healthy. Bosa's, injured half the time. Khalil Mack, I mean, sometimes he's great, sometimes he's MIA. But then you look at, the defense. They signed J.C. Jackson last year. Huge money, huge contract. But did he live up to his potential? Exactly. That's what I mean. Basically gave up the farm in contract money for this guy and showed nothing. But what do you guys think?
Adler retired too. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, exactly.
25 years old.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, you look at their wide receivers, you look at Keenan Allen. I mean, he's money, okay? He doesn't look like he wants to play there anymore. There was rumors that he was going to be out. Dallas had a rumor to go into him. There was so many teams rumored to pick him up. Eckler's the next one out, as we talked about. Sean, you and I talked about that. And you have Mike Williams, who great wide receiver, but he's basically MIA in his system.
Gets hurt a lot too.
Exactly.
He gets those real bad injuries, man. That bad luck injury, and like you said, Paul, he's a hell of a wide receiver. When he's on, he's on. But like Joey and you said, he gets that injury bug. He's out 2 to 3 games, and when they need him, just like last year. But it's a shame. Yeah,
I mean, I I just got home driving from Philadelphia. I didn't even see where they're picking. Do you know guys where the Chargers are picking this year? I apologize. I was just driving back from Philly.
I'll look you up. I'll find it. Appreciate it. Here, let me
Dan says some guys are just injury prone. Yeah, I mean, some guys are, but to me, when you're injury prone that much, you got to live up to your contract, number one. But it seems like with just like with JC, they overpaid him and he can't stay on the field. He's a flop, just like you said, Sean. But Joey Bosa, he's basically never on the field. And what they gave, Khalil Mack years ago, that contract that they got to him, and plus the trade value, that was kind of bad as well.
So the Chargers picked 20. Basically, the Chargers have 7 picks. They pick 21st, 54th, 85th, 125, 158, and then we get to 200 and 241. So they basically just have all their own picks.
Okay, so basically they have one per round, pretty much like a middle round, middle 20.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, thing about the Chargers, and I think Justin Herbert, again, listen, I think Justin Herbert's a great talent. I know they're going to pay him, and that's going to have a major impact on the Chargers too, their salary cap going forward, because they're going to sign him long term, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at that playoff game, and everybody kills the coach, and rightfully so. And again, I'm a Justin Herbert fan, but I got to be honest. As much as I like that kid, got to be honest, man. If Jalen Hurts is the quarterback on that team, or another guy, they find a way to get an extra first down or two, and the Jaguars never come back.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Eileen says, do they draft a running back at some point since Eckler wants out?
Definitely.
They're sitting in a good position here. Me being a Cowboys fan, you guys know I want Gibbs late in that first round because I think Robinson's going to be gone. Now, is it possible that they move up to get Robinson, knowing the situation with Eckler, or if a Gibbs drop to him, do they take Gibbs?
I seen a mock draft, since you bring that up, Paul, that they do draft. I think they draft them at where they're picking Bijan Robinson, to be honest with you. But like we all said, it's a mock draft. Anything can happen.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, to answer Eileen's point, yeah, that could be the case, and that would be an instant upgrade on that offense, man.
And you know what the thing is, if they're willing or able enough to be blessed with either a Robinson or a Gibbs, and Eckler plays out this one last year, that could be one hell of a 1-2 running back punch.
I just was going to say, huge. Two backs that can catch out of the backfield, run the ball, block for the quarterback, which is so key, like we said time and time again, because that's his safety blanket.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. That would be something. But
I just opened up a mock draft. The first mock draft I opened up here, San Diego Union Tribune.
Mm-hmm.
It says 20. Well, this says 22nd pick. I thought they were picking 21st, or maybe all right. Well, anyway, it says Bijan Robinson, Chargers.
Let's get off topic here. Do you think he falls that bad? Because listen, you guys are Eagles fans. There's a rumor that Robinson is even coined to the Eagles. He's everywhere.
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't think he does, bro. I don't think he does. I think everybody. I think it's one of them things where everybody's like, "Oh, running backs don't go early. Running backs don't go early." I tell you, everything I see about this kid looks special to me, man. And when you have a special talent, I don't give a shit about position. And the other thing is too, one thing we got to keep in mind. I don't know if all teams feel this way, but I know it was either McShay or one of these guys, I forget what it was saying that there's only, I think I said this on the show a couple weeks ago, there's only like maybe 10 to 12 guys first round grades in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so you're telling me if I'm sitting there at like 14, 15, even if I don't want to take a running back, then I'm not going to grab a guy that's like a top 3 talent in this draft, and I'm going to reach for a guy that maybe you know what I'm saying? I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, being a Cowboys fan, Zeke Elliott at 4, great pickup. Even at 4, I mean, the only problem is Dallas ran his ass to the ground. That's what it was. The first 3 years, over 300 carries. Yeah, they wore him out. The tread was gone. That's why he changed his game to less hitting the holes, waiting for the holes to evaporate, open up. But Joe, just like you said, when talent like that's out there, you got to take a franchise running back, man. At that time, you got to take him.
Yeah, but look at it like this, though, Paul. Look at it like this. You got 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 probably, right? Of elite years out of Zeke Elliott, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You got 5 elite years out of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little, I mean, I know people go, oh, running back, you don't want that. But 5 elite years, I mean, I it's a sore subject for you, I know, because you guys didn't win a Super Bowl. But if you guys won a Super Bowl or two, everybody would be like Zeke Elliott, great 5 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
nobody's bringing that up. You're right.
Yeah, people don't understand the shelf life for a running back is far different than any other position out there. I mean, you're taking hits every time, running through a whole block.
Right.
Everything you do, you're taking some kind of physical contact. Joe, we talked about, like Jalen Hurts, the Patrick Mahomes contract. To me, if I'm a GM, I'm not giving my running quarterback a long-term contract. Why? Because they take the wear and tear other than a pocket QB. I'd rather pay a pocket QB, elite pocket QB, more money than a running mobile quarterback because I know he's going to take the damage. And that's the same thing with the running back. But, if Robinson's there, you take him, 5-year contract on a generational player that can catch out of the backfield, that can run through you, that can block. He's like a 3D player in basketball. He does everything. Everything.
Exactly. I mean, that's my thought. That's why, I know the Eagles. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the Eagles won't take a running back. They need lines." Yeah, I get all that, but you add a difference-making running back to a good football team, and your offense is just on a whole other level.
Yeah, if he's there, if the Chargers are there, and they're looking at
of the team.
Yeah, if the Chargers are there at that picking point and Robinson's there, it's a gimme. It's a layup. You got to take this kid. You got to take him number one. Even if he doesn't work out, listen, man. The first year, you're auditioning out there. Nobody knows what you can do. They've seen college tape. Go out there and ball out. You have him for 5 years. Just don't run him to the ground. And especially if Eckler stays, man. Oh my God, that punch is going to be insane. That really is. But the record, yeah, exactly. We all watched him at Texas. He's a great running back, great strength. To me, he reminds me like of a Barkley, a Zeke, and he has the speed too, the getaway speed that can catch a ball out of the backfield wherever he goes. TJ says if the Eagles take Bijan, he better get 20 to 25 touches a game. I don't see any running back from the Eagles getting that many carries, man. Honestly.
Yeah, everybody says that.
They got to change the cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody says that, right? But even if Bijan Robinson got 12 to 15 rushes a game and caught 2 or 3 balls,
that's enough.
Right? And there was 12 to 15 rushes or whatever. He might have 85 yards. He might have 15 yards receiving, and the team. More importantly, the team scores 30 to 31 to 35 points, and you win 13 games.
Exactly. I like that too.
That's all I care about.
Exactly. That's like when people, down the Cowboys last year. Well, I'm a big Pollard and Zeke fan, but to me, it went back to the days of like a Marion Barber, Julius Jones to me, a thunder and lightning when you have a committee running back. And if you can get Robinson for the Eagles, he gets 12 to 15 touches a game. That's fine because you got that committee running back that can put up the points and keep you fresh.
Can I give you? So I looked up some possible guys that are mocked to the Chargers. Let me just give you a couple scenarios here. It says Todd McShay, Khalil Kancey, defensive tackle, Pittsburgh. There's one mock.
Solid.
Chad Reuter, NFL Network. Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC. Another guy has Jordan Addison, USC. Another guy has Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver, Tennessee. Wow. And here's a really interesting one. One guy has Dalton Kincaid, the tight end.
Oh, listen, I mean, they're tied in. They have Gerald Everett. That's their big name out there.
Bring back the Antonio Gates games.
There we go, right? So the majority of them, pretty much all the draft experts, Chargers are going to go wide receiver, pretty much unanimously. That's what we're looking at.
And, it might, on the surface, you got Keenan Allen and you got Mike Williams, but really Mike Williams gets hurt a lot and Keenan Allen's getting a little older. So it could make some sense.
Yeah. Hey, Tom Kelly. Hey, man. How's it going, brother? Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it, man. Hope you're doing well. You and the family out there.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. What's up, bro?
But Keenan Allen, I mean, we know what he is. I believe he has 1 year left on his contract. He has a huge contract coming up. But with him, can he stay healthy along with Mike Williams? I mean, and maybe that's why we're leaning toward the wide receiver aspect here. Maybe that's why we're going young.
Yeah.
Could be. Also salary cap, bro. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both make a shit ton of money, and you're about to pay Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? You're going to pay your quarterback for $50 million a year. You better get a cheap weapon here and there.
I agree. Well, speaking of the quarterback, I mean, go ahead, Sean.
The tight end from Darnell Washington from Georgia. That kid fits like Antonio Gates esque.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he's supposed to go around 21 though.
But my thing is like, okay, you can put up all the points in the world, but you're going to give a hell of a lot of points on defense because this defense is hurt as well.
True.
And Herbert was sacked a lot of times last year. He looked like a deer in headlights a lot of plays last year where he was running for his life too.
Yes, he did. I think the first game of the season he got rocked.
Yeah. Now speaking of Herbert, now we know the quarterback rumor mill out there. Patrick Mahomes is $50 million. Josh Allen is up there. Mr. Overpaid Dak, we already know about him. We won't talk about him. But where does Justin Herbert fit in on the list of QB paychecks? Where do you guys see this kid?
Depends. Well, depends on when he signs, bro.
Yeah.
Because don't you kind of feel like these guys are waiting for each other? I mean, basically,
Yes.
I think if Howie had, if Howie had his way, Jalen Hurts would probably be signed already. But Jalen Hurts is it's pretty much a pissing match between Hurts, Herbert, and Burrow, because whoever goes first, the next guy's going to get more.
You know what? That goes back to even when Dak signed. My Cowboy fans are like, "Oh, let's wait and let's wait." I was like, "No, you sign him now. Why the market is a little bit lower? You wait another year. If he has a breakout year, you're going from 30 million to 50 million. Wrap him up now while you can." And I just like you said with Jalen Hurts, that agent team he has, the all-female team, they're licking their lips right now, saying, "Holy crap! Let's just wait and wait because we're going to break the market. We're going to break this market."
What's that saying they always have when like a woman they go, they want to shatter the glass ceiling or whatever the hell they call that shit, right? Don't they say that about certain things? Like Kamala Harris, the first vice president. I heard somebody go, "Oh, she shattered the ceiling." I was like, "What the fuck's that mean?" But anyway, but with her having the female, with them having the female agent, I guess that would be like the quote unquote thing, because it's going to be very important to female agents going forward that Jalen Hurts gets a huge ass contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And speaking of, Danny, he's hosted the Big Blue Power Hour Friday night at 8 p.m. Danny Jones, $40 million. So if I'm Justin Herbert, I'm saying, hey, I'm a hell of a lot better than Danny Jones, and you're going to pay him 40. So I think just like Sean, what you said, the domino effect is waiting to happen. Who's going to be the first? Who's going to be the guinea pig to sign first? I don't want to be that first guy. I want to be the last guy to sign. That's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. You said it better.
Well,
go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say we'll see, man. I mean, if you ask me who's the best, I mean, I like Herbert, but I think if you look talent wise, I mean, I would put him behind like Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts.
Yes.
It's funny because going into last year, I would have never said Jalen Hurts was better than Justin Herbert, but now I would take Hurts ahead of Herbert, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of college, before this network started, I was like, Justin Herbert's really great. He's going to go top 10 when he did. But I love Jalen Hurts. We all love Jalen Hurts. We all watch college, what he's done, Alabama, Oklahoma. But I bite my words now because I never thought he would be this good in his second year. I really didn't.
Hey, by the way, totally off topic, but since we're talking about quarterbacks that you like coming out of college, I don't know if you saw this report today. The kid from UCLA, what's his name?
Dorian Thomas. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he's getting a lot of buzz. I've been reading a lot of stuff on drafts, and he was originally supposed to be like a late pick, but teams are loving his interview process, and they're kind of thinking that maybe he could come in and be like a poor man's Jalen Hurts. He may even go in like the 4th round.
I did see that too. I mean, working under Kelly out there, he showed a lot of command last year from his first year with Kelly to last year. I mean, I watched a lot of those games, and he's a floor general on that team out there. Yeah. He's good. The only downsides with him, I think he needs to put on a little bit more weight. That's what I think he needs.
He put on the weight. He's that skinny athletic build. He needs a little bit more muscle. Mm-hmm. But to bring up your point, like my buddy Maurice said, Dorrell Robinson, like Joey said, I think he fits. If we need a backup quarterback, he would fit the mold if needed.
Yeah, that's the thing. You like. I always tell my friends, like, listen, like with the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush. You go from one playback to a vanilla playbook. You want that same prototype QB, Jalen Hurts, DTR from UCLA next year. If it's available, you want that same mold. Yeah. You can't go from one QB to a vanilla playbook. Even though Cooper went 4-1 last year, I don't care. Mm-hmm. You need something pretty much like a mirror in a certain way. Yeah. And that fits you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Maurice has a question here. He says, got to be specific on the conference you want to draft out of. He's talking about the Eagles here. Is there a conference give me one player that you really want to stay away from due to the fact of a conference, like a Christian Gonzalez, Pac-12? Give me one player and a conference that you want to stay away from if you're the Eagles. I'll talk about the Eagles real quick.
Well, Pac-12 always makes me nervous because I have nightmares of Sidney Jones. You know what I mean? And not just in football. I also have nightmares of Markelle Fultz in basketball. I mean, the Pac-12. I mean, I've taken it doggy style multiple times from the Pac-12. You know what I'm saying? With no lube. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to feel. Our teams have taken it bad on that.
Nelson Aguilar.
Shit. I was going to say. Yeah. You know what's funny though? Nelson. Yeah. I would say Nelson Aguilar, and in general, yes, but the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl in 2017, but Aguilar had the most receiving yards in that Super Bowl. So I mean, he did step up in 2017. So I will say that.
Now he says Thibs. Talking about Matisse Thybulle. Is that what we're talking about there? No, Thibs.
Tibbs. I'm not sure. Tibbs. Oh, Kayvon Thibodeau, the Giants.
Oh, Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah.
Mike Laura's favorite player.
Exactly.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah, defensive end.
Yeah. I mean, coming out of Oregon, his hype out there, but he still has a lot to prove as well. I mean, it's a different game from college where you were going against man versus boys. So it's his second year. I want to see what he does. But Sean, where would you stay away from? What conference would you stay away from? I agree. The Pac-12.
Pac-12, the wacky Pac.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot Andre Dillard too, bro.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That's another one. Although I will say I'm going to make a prediction right now. Yeah, I'm going to make a prediction right now, though. I actually think Dillard, given an opportunity, I think Dillard's going to be a decent left tackle. I think he's going to be all right in Tennessee. I just think Mailata was a better player.
Yeah, I think it's a different scheme, a little bit different scenario. I think he'll be good out there. I think he will. Maurice says get a lineman out of the Pac-12. I didn't see any real linemen out of the Pac-12. Avila. Okay, yeah.
Him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just like to stay away from the Pac-12. But speaking of the Chargers here, now listen, they have the team to compete. They really do. Now, is Kellen Moore going to make a difference in San Diego? The Wonder Boy, I call him dollar store clearance rack Kellen Moore. Does he make a difference with this
general
team?
Guy?
Yeah, he used to be the Wonder Boy bread. Now he became dollar store bread. Now he's clearance rack, Kellen Moore. But does he make it? I mean, he's innovative. We all have seen that. But the problem is he had the weapons with Dallas. He has a QB. He has wide receivers in a running game. What can he do? Is he vanilla, or does he become like a Sean Payton, out of the box type of guy? Just light the offense up. Does Kellen Moore make a difference? First of all,
I mean, I'll give Kellen Moore some credit. I think if Kellen Moore was the OC, I don't think they would have blown the 27-0 lead in Jacksonville. I think he's better than that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean that I'll give him props there. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, and Paul, not to shit on your guy Dak, because I know Dak threw a lot of interceptions last year, but I still think Dak is a pretty good quarterback when he's totally healthy.
Sure.
But I think Justin Herbert has more talent than Dak, so he's got a better quarterback to work with too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to go with the record here. I'm going to go, man. I think there's one team that's superior in this division. We'll get to them next. But I'm going to lean toward 10-7 in this division right now for us. We have the weapons. If they can solidify maybe a defensive, plug and play player out there, I'm maybe a linebacker or a corner, because I'm not sold on JC out there. I'm really not. If you can give him help out there, maybe safety help, I think they're okay. I'm going to go 10-7 this year. I think they finished second in division.
Well, they have kind of a. I don't know what you think of their schedule, because their home schedule is kind of tough. Like they have obviously their division, right?
Sure.
Then they got Buffalo goes out there. That's a tough game. Miami goes out there. Now again, Tua or no Tua. With Tua, that's a tough ass game.
Right.
Chicago Bears go out there. Okay, Bears should be improved. Detroit Lions go out there. Baltimore goes out there, and your boys go out there. That's a tough home schedule.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out to that game too, Dan. Joe.
Then you look at the away. You got New England in New England. Well, that kind of depends on the time of year. Now, if that's a game in September, October, I like the Chargers. But if they play that John late November, December, well, hey, we know how the Chargers play in cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
At the Jets, kind of depends on Aaron Rodgers and when it is. At Green Bay, same thing. I think Green Bay is going to blow, but what if it's in cold as shit, right? Mm-hmm. And then at Minnesota, that's always tough. And then at Tennessee, okay, Tennessee will probably blow. But that's kind of a tough schedule, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, the NFL could dick them over and just give them Green Bay, Lambeau, in the cold in December, and give them, all of the East Coast teams in a juggernaut schedule in the cold. It really depends on the schedule, but based on the schedule, I think they're going to go 10-7. I think they find ways. They have the weapons, because I think this is Justin Herbert's audition year. He wants to get paid. I don't think he signs that contract this year, though. I think he's going to ball out to get the contract. So I'm going to go 10-7. Joe, what do you have about?
Based on that schedule, I'm gonna say 9-8 because I think they're kind of soft. I think they can get run on, and I can see some of those tough road games where they just get physically manhandled at the line of scrimmage. I'm gonna say 9-8.
Okay, Sean, what do you got?
9-8, and due to also as well, and due to the fiasco with Austin Eckler, we don't know what's going to happen in the wide receiver health-wise.
Now, let me ask you this before we move on to your team, Sean. We're sitting here on the draft board here, and we want to move up as the Chargers. Does Austin Eckler come into play for a little trade bait to move anywhere? What do you guys think about that?
Nah, I mean, he's a great player, but I mean, he's, like you said, man, teams don't like playing running back. Teams don't like paying running backs, and teams that are picking ahead of them, they're not going to want to. They're not good enough where they're going to want to take on a 27, 28-year-old running back that wants to make like $10 million a year. So no, I don't think so.
Yeah, because my reason why I said my buddy's a Charger fan. He was telling me today. He was like, I think they let him go, but I was like, why would you do that to rent him 1 year?
They're not letting him go.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to. And then you rent him for this year. Then you're going to pay him next year. So what is the sense of doing? I'd rather go out and get a Gibbs, a Robinson, or a little back like that out there. Have 5 years, 5-year contract. Equals 1 year Austin Eckler.
Take a guy in like the second, maybe like even the third round. You get the kid. What's that kid? Sean, you know his name. The kid that begins with an A, like from Texas A&M, H-E or Etchi or whatever his name is.
Zach Arcane. You got Zach Carbonet.
I was going to say, man. I'll tell you. There's another running back. There's a running back that I've been Ray Dininger was talking about from Tulane. I can't remember his name.
Yes.
He looked great in the game.
Monty Edwards.
Okay, he looked great in the bowl game against USC. I mean, that kid can play. He's supposed to be like a late second, early third round pick. I mean, maybe you grab a kid like that and you rotate him in with Eckler, and then boom, run the shit out of Eckler this year, and then you plug that kid in next year.
Yep. Where do you guys see Deuce Vaughn going?
I don't know, man, because this draft is, I mean, and again, this goes totally against my argument that I want to take Bijan Robinson, because this draft is very deep in running back, man.
It
is. I was reading, I think Mick Shea was saying that he has running backs with like that are going to be picked in like the 6th, 7th round with like 3rd round grades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's you're going to see, mark my words, you're going to see teams picking running backs in like the 6th round, and then they're going to be kicking ass on a Sunday. You're going to be like, damn, where the hell did they get that guy? It'll be like
exactly.
6th round pick,
Yeah, there are going to be some diamonds rough out there that you're really not going to look at it thinking like, okay, well, a lot of these running backs could be projected. I want to not first. There's 2 really first round picks that I'm looking at. Of course, we're looking at Gibbs and Robinson, but you're looking 2nd to 4th round. There's some diamonds out there that people don't know about yet.
Yeah,
there really are. But so let's get into the defending Super Bowl champions. But real quick, I am very tired, so I actually have to take a drink of my Monkey Cold Coffee here. The best damn coffee out there. It's one of our new sponsors, Monkey Cold Coffee. Make sure you use the promo code OOTBS Sports at the checkout at monkeycoldcoffee.com. You get 10% off. And if you like bourbon, you like chocolate, it's the best coffee out there. They have a cold brew as well, so you can check them out. Great company, great promotions that we have. And also, if you're out there, make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe button, especially on YouTube, because the owner, Matt, and I have been talking. We talk basically every week. And we're going to be doing a giveaway out there for either a free bag of coffee, a T-shirt, a mug. But you have to be, subscribe to our channel, and we're going to pick a lucky viewer that tunes into the show. So please check them out, monkeycoldcoffee.com. And also, tomorrow night, real quick, I'm sorry. Tomorrow night, I'm so lost. I was driving back from Philly. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m., Fight Club 215. We have Aviana Gilao, the third-ranked under-18 boxer in the world, as she prepares for Team USA. She actually trains with Trayshawn Wiggins once in a while, too. So that the breed is there. She's awesome. I've been watching her fights. I've been talking to her dad. So we're blessed tomorrow to have a aspect of a female fighter come on the show, especially being under the age of 18, to talk about what her journey is from beginning and what the main goal is to fight for our country, Team USA in the Olympics. So make sure you tune into that tomorrow. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Damn, what you all got in the water out there in Johnstown, man? You guys are producing some champions out there.
Hey, man, I better start drinking that water, brother, because I can barely get up in the morning.
That'll help you get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, but out there, out here they do have some. It's a little town we have here, Johnstown. But I tell you, man, it's really like it's a blue collar team system out here. They work their ass off, and they don't forget where they came from. And it's starting to be a little town of champions. It really is, man. 8th ranked boxer in the world. We have a young girl that's number 3 in the world. Man, just that the damn Penguins can make the playoffs, that screwed me. But hey, it is what it is. But let's get into the defending Super Bowl champs before we get out of here. Sean, I know as an Eagles fan, you really don't want to talk about this team.
No,
but
not really. It stings. Yeah, it stings.
But let's talk about these Chiefs, man.
Well, you had the Chiefs go 14-3 last year. Obviously, they beat me and Joey's beloved Eagles, but that's for another day. We won't get into the Super Bowl. But as far as draft concerns with the Chiefs, I think they need wide receiver, defensive line help, because they obviously lost a lot of key players, Orlando Brown Jr. went to
huge.
That was a huge blow. Where'd he go? Help me out.
He went. Orlando Brown went to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, arch rival, and the key position. Do you go after a wide receiver like a guy like DeAndre Hopkins? Do you pull trade for him, or do you go via draft?
My question is, do you really need a wide receiver with Patrick Mahomes' name out there, because he makes everybody look good, man?
True.
He does, but he does, but I mean, them getting to DeAndre Hopkins would scare me if especially if we had to rematch them in the Super Bowl, because I think we touched on this last week that there's talk that the Cardinals may even cut DeAndre Hopkins, and if that's the case, maybe he goes out to Kansas City on like a 1-year deal because he wants to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They
also go ahead.
So speaking of that real quick, get off topic here, Joe. I like what you just said about, the Cardinals out there. Maybe they do cut, DeAndre Hopkins out there. But my thing is, I want to ask you real quick. I'm sorry, Sean. I just want to say real quick.
That's okay, man. Go ahead.
With the Hopkins here, there's rumors that the Cardinals have like 6 or 7 teams interested in that pick to move up to that spot. Now, is this a way to sit there and say as a Cardinals, like, okay, well, we're going to give up the farm. Somebody's going to give up the farm to take the 4th pick from us. We don't want a quarterback. We'll go with Kyler Murray for a couple more years to let him ride out the contract. Let's just trade Hopkins for a 3rd or 4th round pick. Let's just give another asset before we cut him. Do you think that's what they're maybe doing? And because you can get Hopkins cheap, very cheap.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think it's a pissing match. Teams are like, the Cardinals are like, hey, we'll give you Hopkins for 3rd or 4th round pick, and teams are like, nah, we're good. And then they're basically they're waiting for the Cardinals to blink. They're basically, teams are like, nah, y'all can keep them. It's cool. You know what I mean? How many times do you see this in the NFL? You see teams. You go, damn, how could they not trade him? And then this guy gets cut, and it's because teams have great poker faces in the NFL. A lot of these teams.
True. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. My thing, Sean, not to cut you off, but we're talking wide receivers. We're looking at Scandling, Tony, Sky Moore. Sky Moore in his rookie contract, a burner. If you go out and get a wide receiver, what kind of wide receiver are you looking at? I'm looking at maybe a Quentin Johnson, huge guy. You got to give up the farm. You got to give up the farm to move up that far. And I don't think Kansas City's about that. Andy Reid builds.
Or do they go tight end? Like something with like a Kincaid, Darnell Washington, or There's a wide receiver like later in the rounds, like you said, Rasheed Rice from SMU.
Yeah.
Something like that. But to focus on other needs, they definitely need right tackle and a defensive tackle.
Very true.
There's a Frank Jones, or
But yeah, kid from Pittsburgh, if he happens to slide a little bit, kid Pittsburgh, Canty, or possibly a Brian Breeze from Clemson, if he slid down there.
The mold. Yep.
I mean,
absolutely.
Even an edge rusher. I mean, they cut Frank Clark, so they could use another edge rusher. I know Sean. I know this guy was mocked to the Eagles a few times. The kid from LSU. What's team begins with an O. It's like OG or something or whatever.
Ojima.
Yes. Somebody like him. So there's a lot. I mean, there are guys. Position I could see the Chiefs not going. I don't see the Chiefs going running back, obviously, because they got Samaje. Not Piron.
They got
Pacheco.
Yeah, Pacheco. And I don't see the Chiefs going D back because they spent so much draft capital in last year's draft and the back. So they got a young defensive backfield.
And that goes
with Lynch's.
Yeah. That brings up a great thing what you said about diamonds in a rough with running backs. Pacheco, look at him. Look what he did last year, from bench player to starter. Hell, I had him in the Super Bowl, maybe win an MVP as a long shot. He had a chance to do it. I mean,
I remember that.
Look at these guys. I mean, running backs, maybe third, fourth round. That's a perfect example right there, Pacheco.
Yeah, look at your. I was gonna say your man Leland Lynch here saying the Chiefs did very well in the draft last year. He's got that right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They killed it.
It all goes to that GM that me and Joe were talking about, Brent Veach. He knows how to pick them, man.
He does.
So
and by the way, I mean not to sit here and kiss Andy Reid's big ass, but you talk about Andy Reid. I mean, he's definitely got to be moving up the charts as one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, when you look at it, right? Because think about it. He's the all-time Eagles winningest coach. He's the all-time Chiefs winningest coach. But not just that. Look how he's built two organizations. First, he comes to Philadelphia, right? And he's one of the reasons why you got like Howie Roseman and some of this front office setup, right? Then he handpicks Veach, brings him in as the GM. And what do? They run out and they get Mahomes, who Mahomes, in my opinion, I don't know what you guys think, but talent-wise, Mahomes is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen since I started watching football. I'm not saying he's the best one yet because he's got a long way to go, but he's the most talented guy I've ever seen since I've been watching.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. A generational quarterback with his talent on the field is something we've never seen. We've seen great quarterbacks, through our history of watching football, but man, what he does on the field, it can't be underlined anything of what any other quarterback's done, what he's done.
Bro, he's a combination of like John Elway, Brady, he's a combination. You go back to late 80s, he does the shit that John Elway did, right? And then he's so smart, he's like he has the brain power of like Peyton Manning and Brady and shit.
And the thing is, he never gets frazzled. He never gets frazzled. He's always calm and poised. Like he throws a bad ball. It's short-term memory. Okay, bad ball. Next series come in. Oh, gone. 2 plays, touchdown, right away. He has that short-term memory, and that's something you don't see in young quarterbacks. You look at his stats versus a Brady. He's on path. I mean, we can't determine the future, but man, his future is bright. I mean, 2 Super Bowls already at a young age, and he really only hit his potential right now. I mean, he's still. Oh man, it's going to be insane. It really is.
Let's be honest. I've always been a Montana guy because I'm a Notre Dame fan. So let's keep it real, okay? But Brady's the GOAT, and in all fairness, he is because he's got the numbers. But talent-wise, Brady couldn't sniff Pat Mahomes, and look at what this kid's done. I mean, he's been in the championship game at least every single year he's been in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Every year, he's never played a road playoff game. I mean, think about how crazy that shit is.
It's insane.
Yeah.
You know,
that's insane. That really is insane. You look at that kind of stat. Being what, it's his 5th year, correct?
Yeah,
yeah. He was drafted in 2017. And boy, Cleveland Browns, Jets, and all those teams, boy, they picking them. Chicago Bears trading up to take Trubisky twice. I mean, God, the Bears fans just must want to just strangle themselves. You know what I mean?
My buddy's a Bear fan. He really
crazy.
hates it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching this kid at Texas Tech, the way he played, and I was like, wow, they're moving back into the first to grab him. Okay, what is this going to look like with this kind of QB? And man, I tell you what, he shocked the entire world, man, including myself. I mean, I love watching this kid, even though I'm not a Chiefs fan. I love watching his games because you're always sitting on the edge of the seat, like, how the fuck did he just do that? He threw it behind his back, a left hand no look pass, like someone's driving down the lane in a basketball game. It's like you see him out of the eye, just pass the ball for a dime, layup, boom. That's the way he is, man. Oh my God.
Hey, different sport, and I'm not comparing him to this guy because this guy was like the greatest athlete ever. But like, I never rooted for Michael Jordan, but I couldn't. But I just loved watching him.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pat Mahomes. Although I actually like Pat Mahomes, except for the Super Bowl. But
I can't stand his brother.
Yeah, but when I'm watching a game, I mean, like you just have to, like, I love watching greatness, and you watch that kid play, and I'll tell you what, we talked about the draft. Thank God, just as a football fan, thank God he was drafted by the Chiefs, because if he went to a team like the Browns or the Jets, we might not have ever seen him get his potential.
Yeah, you know what? I think he has to count his blessings going to Andy Reid, because Andy Reid has put him in a position to excel. That's the biggest thing out there. And Joe, just like you said, watching Mahomes, it's must-see TV. If you're not a fan, you're just like, I tell a lot of people, I argue with a lot of people about this. They say Brady sucks, but I was like, you can't knock what he's done in the NFL. His stats, his record, his achievements, accolades. Just be grateful that you witnessed a GOAT in his prime days winning what he did. Now, I tell people, even though you're a Chiefs fan, witness maybe a GOAT in the future in Mahomes here. Just be blessed that you're willing to see this guy play, because he's generational.
He's on track to be the GOAT. He's on track. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to say he's there because, and it's through no fault of his own. It's because he's still playing. But I mean, like, look at Brady. Like Brady, we all say Brady's the GOAT. First few Super Bowls Brady played, that Rams Super Bowl, Brady had that big drive in the end, but he didn't play that great. You know what I mean? Super Bowl against Carolina, he came up big in the end. Eagles Super Bowl, he wasn't even the MVP. It was Deion Branch. Like Brady really didn't become Brady until about maybe 4, 5, 6 years in the league, really.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Now, Maurice brings a comment up here. This one here, Mahomes is different. Now, we talked about going to Cleveland, okay? If he would have went to Cleveland, do you think we would be talking about Mahomes in the same aspect as with the Chiefs? What do you guys think?
Probably not, but I do agree. I do agree with Maurice. He's so good, he probably would have made them contender. But the problem is their organization. He wouldn't have Andy Reid behind him. He wouldn't have Veach, the GM. He wouldn't have their ownership. So it would be Mahomes making great plays, but he'd probably be taking like first or second round playoff L's.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Yeah. Very true. Now, real quick, Sean, before we get in, we'll cut it in a little bit here. My question to both you here: losing Bieniemy, does this take away anything from the Chiefs' offense this year?
Nah, because like you said, Andy Reid is just one of those coaches, man. He's something else. He always finds a way to win. He pulls it's like pulling a rabbit out of his hat. I mean, it's going to be smart. They're going to be up. I mean, Bieniemy was very good those years he was there, but times have changed and times moved on, and I think they'll be fine. Dan
says
the organization itself.
Yeah, Danny thinks it'll be fine. Leland has a comment here. Not a thing. Bieniemy had to go. It was his time, man. That's what we talk about. I'm not going to get into why he didn't get a job head coaching nod, but he's one guy that deserves it, man. He's done his due diligence. He's done time. He's learned from Andy Reid. And I tell you what, man, I think Washington has a hell of an OC out there this year, man.
Yeah.
And the head coach in waiting as well. When Ron Rivera steps down, Bieniemy, that's his team. That's going to be his team. Definitely is.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But now, Let me see. Leland actually brought up a comment here too. I want to ask you about this real quick before we head out. Chiefs linebacker, outside linebacker. What do you think there? I mean, they have Drew Tranquil, and I believe is what's the guy's name? William Gay or something like that.
Oh, Nick Bolton.
Nick Bolton. Okay, well, Gay, Bolton, and then Drew Tranquil. Notre Dame.
I was gonna say Nick Bolton's a football player. That kid can play.
He's a tackling machine. Me and my buddy Maurice, if he's still on, could vouch. We wanted him to come to the Eagles, but Eagles don't draft linebackers. But back again to Leland's point, I think they would go with like Henry Tutu from like Alabama, or Drew Sanders, something like that. These guys can tackle, and they kind of fit that Kansas City mold.
What about like a little corner safety / guy in Branch from Bama with this team?
Same thing.
You know what?
Lights out, man. Yep, he would fit.
Couldn't. I mean, I know they invested a lot of draft capital in the secondary last year, but he could kind of fill the Honey Badger role.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned him, because I think he's a solid guy. We all watch this guy play, and I think he's plug and play for that secondary.
I love that kid, man. I wouldn't mind the Eagles. If the Eagles did a little trade down and they say hypothetically the Eagles moved down to like 19 or whatever, I'd have no issue taking Branch anywhere around then, or even if he was around at 30, make a little trade up, whatever.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a steal somewhere because people are not talking about him right now. He's one of those players that people aren't talking about. I think somebody late in maybe first round, somebody's going to try to jump back in and grab this kid if he's still available. I think he's one of those players to do that. Now, the last comment real quick. Maurice Wright had a comment here. We'll run the last comment here. Do you see the Chiefs drafting a running back? Isaiah Pacheco, I mean, he solid. Hilaire, went high in the draft. I don't know.
Yeah, he was iffy. He was banged up with injuries, but maybe get like we've been saying with all the other teams, a diamond in the rough later in the rounds. This running back draft is this NFL draft is running back deep. So maybe take a flyer in the end of the later round.
I was gonna say I could definitely see it. I mean, but like I was saying that 5th, 6th round, you say there's a guy that has you got a 3rd round grade on. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there 5th, 6th round, you bring the kid in and you got a backup to yeah.
These guys, remember this name for the Chiefs probably. I could see them playing for him. Kendra Miller, TCU.
Okay.
And Brent Knoll, my buddy Maurice likes him from Northwestern. They fit that kind of Kansas City mold. But yeah.
Okay. Leland says Chiefs took 4 QBs and a safety. Yeah, they boosted that defense up. I mean, they really did. But if Branch is there, you got to go with a generational player. I think he's solid. I think he's solid.
He's a product from Bama, so why not?
Exactly. Last thing I wanted to say, damn, I just lost my freaking mind here. Think about what I was going to say. Continue. I forgot. I'm so damn tired. I'm so sorry.
You want to just do Chiefs record real quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
14-3, I have them. I'll have repeat 14-3.
Wow. Okay, 14-3. Oh man, God, you can't knock. You got to keep them on a pedestal. I'm gonna go
13-4, 12-5, 13-4, because as good as they are, they're coming off a Super Bowl. Sometimes early in the season they might not be quite as hungry because they're coming off that Super Bowl. They might find a way to piss away a game or two just being sloppy.
Yeah. I'm going to go with 14-3. I think it's pretty much the same thing. But last thing I wanted to say, how we talked about running backs here. I think this is a draft for the Chiefs running back late, Joe, as you said, maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th round. They always like that scat back. Maybe a Deuce Vaughn would step into this category.
There you go.
Reed loves running backs with speed that can catch out of the backfield. That's what he's always like. I think this draft is molded to a late round pickup where they'll be like, why did they take a running back? This is going to fit in perfect for that scheme.
Since you said that,
Tulane running back.
What was his name, dude? Zach Evans from Ole Miss. He wasn't used that much in Ole Miss. I could see him first round speed, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Chiefs are. They're a running gun team. They have to be fast. I mean, they have the solid wide receivers, and with Mahomes, anything is possible, man. So I'm going to go 14-3 this year. I got 14-3. Winning division. Are we talking Super Bowl again? Are we talking AFC representative here again with the Chiefs before we get out of here?
I think
possibility. So. Yeah. with no, like we said, always said, no major injuries. Yes, I see him back in there. Yes.
Hey, I got a sleeper pick for the Chiefs too. Maybe mid rounds. Chad Henne retired. Maybe they take a flyer on the kid from UCLA as a backup.
Or Max Dugan.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, listen.
I'm talking like fourth, fifth round. You know what I mean? Fourth, fifth round, something like that.
I think Dugan's going to drop that far. Honestly, I think they can take a flyer on him. Why not? Yeah, that's a good point. They lost Henne. He retired this year, so why not? That's one of the options they have to do. They have to go quarterbacks at some point in this draft. They have to.
Absolutely.
They have to.
And he fits that mold, I think. But we'll see.
Last comment real quick. Leland Smith. Bouchel isn't bad, though. What do you guys think about that real quick? He has a cannon. Yeah, exactly. He has a cannon right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, well, let it have a quarterback competition. See, best man wins. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's a quarterback competition out there with Mahomes.
With the backup situation.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, could you see a guy coming in as a rookie like there's a QB quarterback controversy here? Mahomes is like, yeah, okay.
I know. Can you imagine the rookie comes in and he's like, we're like, oh, that's Pat Mahomes. You're going to back him up. He's like, no, Mahomes going to back me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, guys, listen, man, it's been a great show. I, appreciate every time we do this, but I think there's one more division that we need to talk about. Am I right or wrong?
Actually, we have two more. We never did the AFC South.
You're right. So AFC South next week, yeah?
Okay.
So real quick, who do you guys want? Who do you guys want?
I'm going to do Jacksonville.
You want them in Jacksonville. Okay. Joe, do you have season tickets still for the Jaguars?
I do.
Okay. So Joe, the GM, is going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There we go.
Sean, where would you like to go, my friend?
Give me the Titans.
The Titans.
Now, you know what? The Colts. I'll take the Colts.
You want the Colts? Okay. Since Mike's not here, he's going to get the last of the least. I'm going to take the Titans because I think it's going to be a complete shit show next year. I really do. So I'll take the shit show, the Tennessee Titans. And then
I was going to say, Paul, you could do strong side, left side, strong
side, left side. One of the best movies ever. I don't know if you guys agree.
That movie.
Best movie ever to me. I love that movie. One of my favorite movies. But guys, before we get out of here, we'll be back in 1 minute to wrap up the show. So take a look at our video here of all of our shows and upcoming sponsors. So we'll be back in 1 minute to close the show. Oh, I'm sorry about that. That music had me going there for a second. Took me back to the Michael Jackson days, Joe.
I was all set to say the only thing that's missing is Michael Jackson being on stage grabbing his junk.
Exactly. Yeah, we need one of those, but
I can't even do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Before three comments real quick. Maurice says Eagles may play Jaguars in the Super Bowl.
I could see that.
See that one? Okay. Eileen actually says my friend is a Chiefs fan. Says Jackson needs to go away, and the Chiefs are. Says Jackson needs to go away, and the Chiefs going 17-0.
It must be Jackson Mahomes.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't stand that guy. Yeah. And TJ says, "Good job, boys." TJ, thanks for tuning in, man. And TJ, the offer is always open if you ever come up here for Thunder in the Valley. I'm right around the corner from it, so stop on by. My door is always open for a fan like you.
Thanks, Leland.
Leland says, awesome show.
Yeah,
Leland, we appreciate you. Thank you for hopping in. All right, guys. So next week, AFC South. We'll be back same time, same network, out of the box. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to all networks, platforms out there. TikTok, Instagram. For myself, Paul Spencer, Sean Killer Kilrain, Joe Sullivan. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Later.
See ya.